While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 346, How to Get More Connection. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Connection in marriage is more than just a feeling. It's a foundation that supports both partners through the ups and downs of life. Without regular connection, many couples feel as though they're living separate lives. Many of us crave deeper intimacy, but aren't always sure how to get there or how to maintain it. So today we're going to talk about the importance of connection and dive into specific, actionable ways to build more closeness with your spouse across different aspects of your relationship. So first, let's talk about why connection is important. When two people come together in marriage, they often start with a deep, organic connection that often feels very effortless. But over time, the challenges of daily life, like work and children and just personal stressors, can erode that sense of closeness. So here's why fostering and deepening connection regularly is so essential. First, a strong connection helps you feel like you're a team, ready to face challenges together. It brings a foundation of support and understanding that keeps you grounded and builds emotional resilience that helps support you through the ups and downs of your relationship. So when times are hard, if you don't have that connection, you can feel very alone and feel like you're doing everything yourself. When you are connected, you can work together as a team. Number two is that marriage can be one of the most meaningful ways to grow personally, but it requires ongoing connection. A disconnected relationship can feel stagnant, while a connected one nurtures each person's growth. Dr. David Schnarch talks about how we're always just a half a step difference in growth from our spouse. And when one partner doesn't grow and the other one does, the gap widens and the marriage isn't sustainable. But when you're connected and growing individually and together, you benefit and the marriage becomes stronger. This life is about growth and progress. And in order to become more like our Savior and our heavenly parents, we must grow and change. When one partner isn't growing and progressing in one or more areas of their life, that connection is a lot harder. And number three, couples who prioritize connection tend to feel more fulfilled, joyful, and satisfied with the relationship. When I talk to couples, most want better connection. They just don't know how to do it. They let too many other things get in the way of what is most important. We are wired for connection as humans. It is essential for living and for a fulfilled life and relationship. So if you are feeling disconnected from your spouse, but want more connection, how do you achieve that? Let's talk about how we can connect in a lot of different ways, because connection isn't just one thing. And for a deep, fulfilling marriage, you need to address connection in a lot of different ways. So first, let's talk about the physical connection. The physical connection is one of the most basic but powerful ways to reinforce the bond between partners. Physical touch and presence release oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, which builds trust and closeness. And physical connection doesn't just mean sex. It means physical contact with each other in a lot of different but meaningful ways. So here are a couple of examples of how you can get that physical connection in those small, meaningful ways. The first is small acts of touch. So regular non-sexual touch, like holding hands, cuddling on the couch, or a gentle hand on the back, can create physical closeness that deepens your bond. Number 2 is that quality time together. That physical presence is essential. It's really hard to connect if you're not spending much time in each other's physical space. So go for a walk, cook dinner together, or engage in a hobby together. And number 3 is prioritizing physical health. So when both partners prioritize health, such as exercising together or taking care of each other, it nurtures a foundation for physical closeness and attraction. Okay, let's talk next about emotional connection. Emotional connection is also essential, and it's really about being vulnerable, open, and truly present with each other. It's the ability to share your inner world, feeling seen, understood, and accepted by your partner. Now, I'll just say here, one kind of connection is not more important than another. Both or all kinds of connection are important in a well-rounded relationship. So, some examples of how you can connect emotionally. The first is daily check-ins. So try a maybe daily or nightly check-in where each partner shares a high and a low from their day. And this helps you connect to what's currently on each other's hearts and minds. The second is emotion cards. So use emotion cards to help express if you find it hard to verbalize what's going on. Couples might sit down weekly and pull a card like joy or fear or hurt and discuss where they felt that emotion recently. The third is mirroring statements. So practice reflecting back to each other your feelings. If your spouse says, "I'm stressed about work," respond with empathy. Like, "It sounds like you're carrying a lot right now. How can I support you?" This builds validation and trust. The fourth is vulnerability and sharing. So take time to share your fears, your dreams, and your insecurities. By allowing your spouse to see the real you, you invite them to connect with you on a deeper level. And number 5 is active listening. Often we hear, but we don't truly listen. Make eye contact, repeat back what they're saying, and show empathy. Put your phone down. Validating your partner's feelings can deepen that emotional intimacy. Hey listeners, are you loving the tips and insights from Sex for Saints? Want to apply them to your own life? Join my Embrace You Elite Society membership. In this exclusive membership, you'll get access to personalized coaching, practical tools, and a supportive community of women all working towards enhancing their intimate lives. Ready to take your intimacy to the next level? Visit amandalauder.com and join today. Let's embrace a more fulfilling and intimate life together. Now back to the show. All right, the next one is spiritual connection. So spiritual connection is not necessarily religious, though it can be. It involves aligning on a set of shared values, beliefs, or practices that ground you as individuals and as a couple. And especially if, the two of you have different faiths, or there's been some sort of faith transition, making sure you still have that spiritual connection and without it being religious is really important. So some examples of how to do this. The first is a shared prayer or meditation. So starting or ending the day with a few moments of shared prayer or meditation can be calming and centering for both partners. The second is a gratitude practice. So maybe once a week, sit down together and list things you're grateful for about each other. We had a whole podcast about this a few weeks ago. You can sit down and say, I'm grateful for how you made time for us to talk last night. Showing that gratitude is really important. And number 3 is explore meaning together. So have open conversations about your beliefs, your hopes, and values, even if they're different. Maybe ask, what is something that is bringing you a lot of peace lately? Or what do you feel is your purpose right now? Now, again, this doesn't need to be religious, just spiritual. And there's ways to go about exploring meanings with someone that has different views than you as a way to bring you closer together instead of arguing. All right, let's talk about the sexual connection because that's what we're here for, right? The sexual connection is not just about the physical act, but about feeling desired, respected, and understood in the intimate parts of your relationship. So healthy sexual connection strengthens the bond and builds trust, passion, and vulnerability. So a few ways to do this is first is the sensate focus exercises. So if you've never heard of this, just Google it and you can learn all about it. But instead of jumping straight into penetrative sex, spend some time exploring each other's bodies in a very non-goal oriented way. This could be a gentle massage or just lying close, focusing on the sensations rather than outcomes. The second is having open conversations about sex and intimacy. So schedule a time to talk about your sexual relationship. Ask each other questions like, what's one thing you wish we would do more of? Or what's one thing that makes you feel loved during sex? The third is to have some intimate date nights. So plan specific nights for sex and intimacy. It doesn't have to lead to sex, but it could, including romantic activities like a candlelight dinner at home, watching a romantic movie while snuggled up together, or maybe even just dancing in the living room. Number 4 is prioritizing quality over quantity. So sexual connection doesn't have to be about how often you're having sex. It's about how meaningful it is. Focus on creating a safe, open space for exploration, touch, and closeness. I have found that a lot of people have sex in a way that is not fulfilling, that quality is not there. And so they think they just need more and more sex in order for it to happen. But what they really need is better sex. And if you need more help in doing that, I highly recommend you come into coaching. All right. The next is the mental connection. So a mental connection is about engaging with each other's intellectual curiosities, sharing ideas, and challenging each other's thinking in respectful ways. So it's a chance to keep things fresh, interesting, and mentally stimulating in the relationship. So here's some ideas for you. The first is shared reading. So pick a book to read together, whether fiction or self-help or an interesting nonfiction topic, and set aside time weekly or nightly to discuss thoughts and takeaways. The second is to challenge each other with new knowledge. So take turns finding an article or a podcast or a TED Talk to watch or read. And each of you do this and then discuss what you find interesting or thought-provoking. And this can be anything from the latest in science to something fun like travel destinations or your favorite Sex for Saints podcast. All right, number 3 is goal setting and vision boards. So spend time dreaming and planning together. Create a vision board for your shared goals and dreams, both long-term like retirement and travel and family, and short-term like fitness and career goals. Number 4 is to share personal interests. So stimulating conversations can invigorate your relationship by when you discuss books or articles or ideas that you're passionate about, and then explore common interest by trying to learn something new together. And number 5 is challenge each other's thinking. So respectful debates or sharing different perspectives can create excitement and strengthen mental connection. So encourage each other's curiosity and growth. And the next is the psychological connection. So the psychological connection involves a sense of security and mutual understanding. It's about creating a safe space for both partners to express themselves fully without fear of judgment. So again, have some safe space check-ins once a week. You can hold one of these safe space check-ins where each person can express something that's on their mind without the other responding immediately. This allows for unfiltered honesty in a non-defensive environment. The second is understanding each other's triggers. So take time to learn about each other's sensitivities. If one person is sensitive about feeling ignored, acknowledge this and reassure them that when you're busy rather than leaving them feeling uncertain. And then the third is to celebrate personal wins. So supporting each other's individuality is key. Celebrate each other's accomplishments, big or small, to show your pride and excitement in your partner's personal growth. And then, of course, emotional support. So show up for each other emotionally, offering reassurance, encouragement, and validation in times of need. Are you or someone you love about to take the leap into marriage? My Engaged Couples course is designed to help couples prepare for sexual intimacy, creating a strong foundation for a fulfilling and connected relationship. This course is the perfect gift for young adults in your life who are getting married, helping them approach this important aspect of their relationship with confidence, understanding, and love. Give the gift of a healthy, intimate connection and find out more on my website. So what happens? What should you do when you are not feeling connected? If one or both of you are feeling really disconnected from each other, it's easy to grow resentful or to retreat inward, hoping that the other person will take action. So here are a few ways that you can bridge the gap. First is personal reflection. Ask yourself questions like, what am I really needing that I don't feel like I'm getting? Or have I communicated my needs effectively? The second is take action instead of waiting. It's really easy to fall into the waiting game, hoping the other person's going to take the lead. So instead, take initiative by planning a date, expressing your feelings, or sharing your needs. The third is initiate small moments of connection. Start with small gestures such as leaving a love note, making their favorite meal, or inviting them for a walk. These can break down barriers that may have built up. The fourth is to focus on the positive. Make a habit of sharing one positive thing about your spouse each day. This can shift your focus toward gratitude and appreciation, often creating a more open environment for connection. And number 5, rekindle shared memories. Looking back on meaningful memories together can remind you both of the connection you share and reignite a sense of closeness. We got one of those digital frames for Christmas last year from my parents. And we, have just added a bunch of photos from our marriage and our family from the last 12 years together to this frame. And it's so fun to see all of these different memories pop up and be able to, talk about them and rekindle that passion and that connection. So what happens when your spouse won't connect in the ways that you need? It's not uncommon for partners to have different preferred ways of connecting. So when you crave connection, but your spouse doesn't connect as deeply or in the ways that you desire, it can feel really frustrating or isolating. So I really recommend that you try to understand their perspective. Different people connect differently. So if your spouse prefers practical, everyday support rather than deep, vulnerable conversations, acknowledge this and try to meet in the middle. I also recommend that you be open and honest about how you feel, expressing that you want to connect more deeply. Sometimes that's enough to lead to a shift. Share that you miss feeling close and ask about their perspective and what they miss feeling and work together to find solutions. Don't just accuse them, but really talk about your feelings and what you miss first. It's really important to practice patience. Some people need time to warm up to change. You may not get all the connection you desire immediately or ever, but consistent small steps towards each other can make a difference. And then seek outside support if you need it. Sometimes enlisting a professional like a coach or a therapist can help each partner understand the other one more clearly and their need for connection in different ways. And a third party can often just bring insights that really transform your relationship. Deep connection is essential for a fulfilling, resilient marriage, but it takes time, understanding, and small, consistent efforts across dimensions. The beauty of connection is that it's never static. It can always deepen, evolve, and grow as partners are committed to nurturing it. By investing time and attention in these areas, you can create a marriage that is rich in intimacy, trust, and mutual support. Thank you for joining today's conversation. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.